Viewed from far out in space, our Earth is a blue-green jewel set in an airless, waterless void. This precious sphere, covered as it is by more than 2/3 water, would more rightly be called planet Ocean. For it was in the ancient sea that all life began, and it is the sea that sustains it still. Some of the ocean's inhabitants have remained perfect and unchanged since the dawn of time. Others have left the sea to walk or crawl upon the land, and some, like the great whales, the seals and sea lions, have returned to it. The creature to have most recently attempted this homecoming is man himself. With faltering, furtive steps, we are just beginning to unravel the timeless mysteries of the oceans. And by doing so, find it not the dangerous, dark, and unwelcoming place of myth, but a fragile and beautiful world in which we are still but mere visitors.
Hello everyone, my name is Keanu and I would like to welcome you to the Undersea Gardens. I would also like to introduce our diver to you. This is Zach and he will be our guide through the small corner of the underwater world today. We are all 10 feet beneath the water surface aboard an actual floating vessel. This vessel is 150 feet in length and 50 feet wide. There are more than 5,000 animals of various species that inhabit the waters around this vessel in a natural but protected environment. The water temperature is anywhere from 47 to 50 degrees, and that is why Zach wears the protective equipment he does, so that he is not too cold. In addition to Zach's suit, he also wears a weight around his waist to help control his buoyancy. At this depth, Zach's air supply should last up to 60 minutes. Zach can hear us as well as see us. Today we're going to start the show off with the Dungeness crab. The Dungeness is an important part of Newport's economy. Newport is considered to be the Dungeness crab capital of the world. If you were to go to a restaurant here on the coast and order something with crab in it, this is what you'd probably find.
Crabs, being crustaceans, are members of a group of creatures that in sheer numbers dominate the Earth and have done so for more than 500 million years. The crab's hard shell is in fact its skeleton, so that in order to grow, it must be shed and replaced by a larger one, up to 7 times in a lifetime. Once hatched from its egg, the crab spends the early stages of its life swimming freely amongst the plankton. A master of adaptability, the crab inhabits every corner of the ocean and ranges in size from less than half an inch up to 11 feet across.
The crabs most commonly found in our waters include the red rock, the box, the hermit, and of course the Dungeness. Generally solitary dwellers, crabs prefer to remain in hidden crevices, or in case of the hermit, in discarded shells of other creatures. 2 of the crab's legs have been developed into powerful pinchers for feeding and defense. In case of a larger species, a painful wound may be inflicted. As a secondary line of defense, the crab has the ability to shed and regenerate its limbs, often giving up a leg to a serious predator in hopes that the predator won't be too hungry and will leave the rest of the crab alone.
This kills the crab.
Cool.
Another group of creatures capable of regeneration are the sea stars. In fact, in some cases, should the animal be cut into 2 or more pieces, a corresponding number of complete and separate animals will eventually develop. Relying on a remarkable system of hydraulics for locomotion and a single photosensitive cell on the tip of each arm for sight, the sea stars appear as truly otherworldly beings. As successful predators which have adapted to life in the deepest abyss, or the shallowest shoreline. The sea stars prey on shellfish, sponges, anemones, fish, and other sea stars. Once the victim has been located, it's grasped or opened with a pressure sometimes exceeding 100 pounds. The sea star then forces its own stomach out of its body into and over the meal, where it's digested before being passed back through the mouth.
The waters of the Pacific Northwest support the greatest variety of sea stars anywhere on Earth. The sunflower star, with its 20 or more arms, it is the largest sea star and is only found here. On the underside of the sunflower star are tens of thousands of tiny tube feet, which enables the animal to glide over the roughest of surfaces with a seemingly effortless grace of a breakneck speed of an eighth of a mile an hour. Now, an eighth of a mile an hour may not seem very fast, but the sunflower star can make it around our aquarium in about an hour. And that's pretty fast considering that their main source of food is clams and other shellfish, which only move about 10 to 12 feet a year.
Long believed to be the link between animals and plants, anemones are now known to be carnivorous animals, closely related to the corals, hydroids, and jellyfish. In fact, anemones could almost be considered jellyfish that have decided to stand on their heads and attach to the rock for a while. The tentacles are equipped with stinging cells, which act like tiny harpoons, barbed and poisonous. Should some unfortunate creature come into contact with them, they are snared, paralyzed, and drawn through the mouth into the body cavity. As varied, prolific, and colorful as flowers, anemones will often congregate in huge numbers, where the action of wave and current afford a rich and plentiful food supply. In these areas, the sea floor is transformed into a living yet ghostly garden.
Not all anemones remain attached to the sea floor. When faced with a predator, some actually burrow into the sand, while others just simply swim away. The most common defense for the anemone is to fold up its tentacles and become a featureless blob upon the rocks. The anemone also assumes this position while digesting their food. The natural laws of the jungle also apply to the creatures of the sea. However, in order to keep our marine life happy, we've interfered just slightly with nature to provide a feeding time. Although difficult to train many fish, Zach has conditioned our marine life to respond to the sound of a dinner bell.
Oh, finally.
Ha!
Look at it. Yeah.
The fish of the world can be appreciated for their stunning beauty, complexity, and for their importance in the food chain. It's often a surprise to many people that fish are very long-lived. A lifespan of 30 to 40 years is not uncommon. Most of the fish you see swimming around Zach are a variety of our perch and rockfish. We have three kinds of perch: pile perch, silver surf perch, and striped sea perch. You may have also seen some of our starry flounder. They are the flatfish normally found at the bottom of the ocean. They are born upright like many other fish, but as they mature, they shift to their side, and one of their eyeballs actually migrates to the other side of their head, and they spend the rest of their life swimming sideways. We also have prehistoric white sturgeon. They can live in both fresh and salt water. They can grow to be 24 feet in length and live to be 100 years old.
The ferocious-looking wolf eel is in fact an elongated fish, sometimes growing to 8 feet in length. Its powerful jaws, equipped with 20 needle-sharp teeth, enable it to eat many hard-shelled creatures, including sea urchins, which it effortlessly crushes, shells, spines, and all. The wolf eel's evil appearance is only skin deep, for they usually mate for life, and even in the wild, are eager to please and play with divers. The male wolf eel, although larger and heavier than the female, is the less aggressive of the two, and often bears the scars of past domestic strife. As juveniles, Both male and female are brilliant orange in color, which gradually fades to the mottled gray and black of the adult.
Taking up residence in rocky dens and guarding them jealously, wolf eels are often encountered by divers, who line their faces peering out of a hole in a rock, appearing, for the world, like a pair of inquisitive underwater muppets. At the gardens, the wolf eels become a firm favorite, as they are both friendly and fascinating.
The 19th century writer, Victor Hugo, described the manner in which an octopus ingests food, in this case, a human being. You enter the beast. You become one. The tiger can only devour you. The devilfish inhales you. He draws you to him, into him, and bound and helpless, you feel yourself emptied into his frightful sack, which is a monster. To be eaten alive is more than terrible, but to be drunk alive is inexpressible. Tales of giant octopus dragging ships and sailors to their doom and guarding the treasures of sunken galleons have assured the octopus an evil, yet totally undeserved reputation. The largest octopus in the world occurs right here in Pacific Northwest waters and often reaches up to 18 feet across. The largest known specimen was captured on Victoria
can go over there and look in the window if you'd like.
And measured 32 feet, almost 10 meters, from tentacle tip to tentacle tip. But the octopus is not the malevolent nightmare monster myth has made it, but rather a shy, intelligent creature, and the master of his world.
The octopus's 8 arms are covered with 1,600 suction cups. Each one of these cups can be manipulated independently. The octopus has a backup means of movement, jet propulsion. By flooding the mantle cavity and forcing water through the siphon, the octopus can escape from dangers up to 20 miles an hour. As a master of disguise, he can change both its colors and texture to blend into its surroundings.
I see something.
For most of us, the sea is an alien place. We're not consciously affected by it. We give it an emotional thought, but it is essential that we do. For many of us, the sight of the distant stars and planets is more familiar than that of our own ocean realm. Only through understanding that we are all directly linked to and dependent upon the fragile beauty of the sea and its inhabitants will we ensure their survival, and by doing so, ensure our own. We've just spent a few brief moments with some of the creatures of the sea, with whom we share this, our planet ocean.
I'd like to thank you all for coming to the Undersea Gardens. Let's give Zach a big hand for the great show. Thank you, Zach. Zach will be upstairs in about 10 to 15 minutes to answer any questions that you may have.